you know about jollof rice, yeah?
Oh yeah, my girlfriend's Ghanaian, so I know about
Oh,
jollof. Yeah.
that's lovely. You know, there's this battle between Nigeria jollof and Ghana jollof.
Oh, I've heard all about it. Trust me.
Uh-huh.
You don't
So,
want to
but
ask
the
her what she
best
thinks.
the best is Nigeria jollof, no question. Nigeria jollof is the best right now.
Yeah.
The game between the Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers. Let's start with that game first. And now taking a look at this tie for Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. This is a type of team that should be able to get the ring. Now they have to stop the LA Clippers, a team that will be missing Paul George, and that means the likes of Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook have got a lot of work to do in the absence of Paul George. Now, what do you think the Clippers needs to do to stop the Phoenix Suns? And at the end, who do you think will carry this particular tie?
I mean, the Suns are pretty strong favorites because Paul George is hurt, and it's hard to judge the Suns because they didn't really get a chance to use Kevin Durant that much. So
Yeah.
we don't, the record probably doesn't reflect how good they are. Not to mention, not only did they not get to play KD that much in the second half of the season, they also were without Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson because they just traded them for KD. So I presume that Phoenix is at least neck and neck with Denver for the best team in the Western Conference. And the Clippers, we've been waiting for them to get it together. Hasn't happened. They don't have Paul George right now. It's like they're at a pretty significant disadvantage. The one advantage that the Clippers have is they have depth and they have versatility. And Phoenix, they have four, all-star, borderline all-star caliber players. And then they have a few serviceable players, but I don't think any of those guys would probably be in the rotation for the Clippers. Maybe, maybe one or two here and there. So the question is, does Phoenix's depth hurt them enough against the Clippers, who will just always have playmakers and scorers on the floor, that the Clippers can just win? The Clippers play very slow, so if they're able to play faster, maybe the Clippers can actually just win a scoring battle against them. I don't think that's going to happen. It doesn't suit the way Kawhi plays. It doesn't suit the way they've played in general. But Ty Lue is a very, very good coach. He's been really good at adjusting the way he approaches the game throughout a playoff series. So if there's anyone that could try to figure it out, he's definitely one of the few. But without Paul George, I just can't imagine the Clippers being that competitive.
Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. This is experience versus young and athleticism. The Memphis, what a season they have had. As much as towards the end of the season was a little bit of filled with drama with Ja Morant case and all of that. But let's talk about this tie, Lakers Memphis. Do you think Memphis can stop a very experienced and a squad that has depth like the Lakers in this tie?
Yes. Because the Lakers offense was just it just was a mess in that last playing game against Minnesota. I don't trust their offense to be consistent. And Minnesota was without Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid in that game, and the Lakers definitely won the above the rim battle. And Karl-Anthony Towns had a disappointing second half, or really fourth quarter and overtime. But Memphis's ability to play at the rim, especially with Triple J, is just, I think, a lot better than what Minnesota had that night. And so, considering that Memphis will probably dominate at the rim, I don't know if the Lakers are going to be able to defend Ja Morant that well. I don't think their personnel anymore really pretends to be able to do that. It seems like Memphis has a pretty sizable advantage. But with the Lakers being healthy, I think that the gap between Memphis and the Lakers is probably smaller than the gap between the Suns and the Clippers.
So you're giving it to the Grizzlies in this one, yeah?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about the Golden State Warriors against Sacramento Kings? This is another clash that'll be very interesting. I feel it's going to be filled with points because the Kings love to score a lot. Same with the Golden State Warriors. Who do you think we carry the day in this one?
So this is probably the hardest one to pick because the Warriors at home have been basically the best team in the NBA this year, and then on the road they've been like the worst team in the NBA this year. So does that change in the playoffs? Does that change if they're just driving down to Sacramento? I don't know if they're going to stay in a hotel in Sacramento or what, but Sacramento and San Francisco are not too far apart So,
Yeah.
you know, the Kings have had just a wonderful offense this year, whether they're playing super up tempo and they're scoring in transition, or they're running the offense through Domantas Sabonis in the high post. They've been able to run their offense in a few different ways, and no one's really been able to contain them. And then their defense just doesn't do anything. It's like they're not even playing defense out there. And so Golden State has always been a really good defensive team. Draymond Green is probably still the best defender in the NBA, and he probably will be a nightmare for Sabonis. I don't know if he's going to cover Sabonis specifically. We'll see how that plays out. They might have Kevon Looney on him, who's also a great defender. But Golden State has the matchup chops to work with this, and then playing against Golden State, like they play so differently than the rest of the NBA that maybe the Kings defense does work against them. I don't think it will, but maybe it does, and that works out for the Kings. But it requires it requires a level of focus that not a lot of teams can pull off. And the personnel in Sacramento just doesn't make you think that they're all going to be able to pull it off. They at least have Harrison Barnes, who used to play for Golden State, so he knows them pretty well. They're not the same team they were back then, but they're close enough. You know, and I mean, I really like Sacramento. They're a lot of fun. I think the series is probably going to go 6 or 7 games, but I would pick the Warriors.
I'm picking the Warriors. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. We have the Bucks, we have the Cleveland Cavs, the New York Knicks, Philadelphia 76ers, the Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics, and we have Atlanta Hawks in that one. Just one more team remaining from the play-in tournament. Which of these teams do you think can win the Eastern Conference?
I think the Celtics and the Bucks are clearly the favorites there, and then Philly and Cleveland are on that tier right below them. It's probably going to be a 7-game series between the Bucks and the Celtics in the conference finals, and I have no idea who to pick. I think that the potential for the Celtics to elevate their game a little bit more than where it's been most of the season is probably better than Milwaukee's ability, just because of their health. Like Chris Middleton just hasn't been quite right yet, while everybody in Boston seems like they should be pretty much close to quite right. We'll see about Marcus Smart with his neck injury he's been dealing with for the last week. This seems pretty minor. Jaylen Brown cut his hand, and so we'll see if that affects his shooting, because it's like right where the ball's supposed to sit on his hand when he shoots the ball. So if Jaylen Brown can't shoot, obviously that's a major deal, and that's a huge alarm. If that isn't an issue, which I presume it won't be, the Celtics could be the healthiest team, and the healthiest team is the team that usually wins.
All right, Western Conference, the Nuggets, Phoenix Suns, the LA Clippers, Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors, Lakers, the Grizzlies. Who's going to carry the conference?
Well, you forgot Denver, and Denver's the first seed.
Yeah, Denver. I mentioned Denver,
Oh, did you? Okay, so I think it's between Denver and Phoenix. I'm going to pick Phoenix just because they have so much unstoppable scoring talent that has great experience in the crunch time in the playoffs. So, I think they have a great coach, Imani Williams. They have a great leader in Chris Paul. KD and Devin Booker can play off each other well. The length that they have defensively with Durant and Ayton, I think is going to be really valuable against a lot of the teams we're going to see in the West. So I like Phoenix, but it's a huge toss-up. I think it's harder to predict Bucks versus Celtics out of the East than it is to predict Phoenix versus Denver.
The NBA regular season MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic. Which of these guys?
I'll lead Embiid. I honestly, I've seen so many people make all sorts of arguments for who it should be, and I don't think that there's a single correct argument. I don't think there's an unbiased way to pick this award. I think that they're all so close. It's really about what do you value and how do you perceive the situation. And I'm just perceiving the situation as I think that Embiid has been just as central as Giannis has been just to their team's success. I think even though Jokic is probably more involved than anybody else.
If you had to put them 1 to 3, how would you rank them?
So this honestly, I think it's almost harder to rank them than it is to pick one. I think I would go Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, and and to finish what I was saying before, I think the reason why I have Embiid first is Jokic's defense is it's bad. And I know there's been a lot of people going back and forth of like, it's not as bad as you think because he gets a lot of deflection. He's a great rebounder. But I think most of his job is pick and roll defense and stuff like that. And he's just like very lazy, and he moves weird. He's late. All this stuff that just like it's weird because, you know, James Harden is another great example of a absolute genius offensive player that should be able to read what's happening on defense earlier, but for some reason is still slow. And I don't know if it's effort or what it is, but Jokic is just so skittish that like he's a net negative on defense regardless of all the other things that he does bring to the table. So, you know, and then on the other hand, Embiid and Giannis are right up there for defensive player of the year. They're some of the best. And I would say Embiid's overall offensive output this year between the scoring and his playmaking has closed the gap on Jokic, where Jokic is still like the best, but he's closed the gap there to the point that I think that the defensive differences outweigh the offensive differences. So then if you look at Giannis just played a lot less minutes than those guys. I think a lot of that is that Milwaukee blew a lot of teams out and just like sad, you know, we can sit him at the end of games. I can't really find like a hole in Giannis's candidacy. There is no right answer to this one. I just like the blend of the timing of Embiid's ascension, the way that he really left the best taste in our mouths at the end of the season, the way that he elevated Philadelphia when they were, you know, when things were really down. It just the narrative fits, and really anybody could have gotten it. I don't have any problem with anyone else winning it of that group.
Okay. All right, take care of yourself, Jared. Be good.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah, bro.
I said I'm moving too far. Getting lost.